Hey fellow tennis nerds, welcome to the Tecnifibre Tfight 2025 review, dealing with the 305 gram version in the back there and the 315, both 98 square inch rackets. We'll do more in-depth analysis of these frames and other Tfight rackets in the future. The Tfight line, popular among the pros, starting to make some waves among club players as well. We have Iga Świątek using the Tfight 300, we have Daniil Medvedev using the 305. Of course, they can be using slightly tweaked or older versions, but the soul is the Tfight. So this is a popular line for a reason. It gives you good control and like a really nice sensation when you're striking the ball. It competes with rackets like the Radical and the Blade and does a great job in doing so. I had the fortune to talk to Patrice Chabrel from Tecnifibre about these frames. Today, I'm happy to talk to Patrice Chabrel, Senior Product Manager at Tecnifibre.
Tfight is our flagship franchise, as we say. The racket you see the most on the court, in the shops. You see Daniil, it's really the baseline players, the kind of counter-attacker. Iga, she is the puncher, lots of spin, attacking the ball. Eubanks or Bublik, they would do serve and volley. All of them, they have a very different play style, but they play with Tfight. You know, when we develop the product, we say Tecnifibre, we are the players company, and everything starts with the players. And with Tfight, it was exactly the case. We analyzed in detail all the rackets played on tour, the real racket played by the players. We did that through the stringing services where Tecnifibre is involved. So we had access to all the rackets played by the player of the top 100 ATP, and we have analyzed the specs. And it's very interesting because we could see many differences in the specs of the racket depending on the generation of the players. Like we can say the old generations, the players more than 35 years old, and now the players of the new gen, the players 20 years old. The rackets, they are different and they have evolved very significantly. They have evolved towards a lighter weight, lighter swing weight, and more powerful frame. We see that the tennis game has evolved, and now the tennis game is very fast. It's much faster than 20 years ago. So that's why to play in these faster conditions, the players, they need to react quickly and swing much quicker. So that's why their frame are becoming much more maneuverable. They have more speed. So if we look at the frames of the old generations compared with new generations, the frames are on average 18 grams lighter and 20 points of swing weight less. So their frames are much more maneuverable for their very fast swing. The other evolution is that the head size are becoming also bigger. Now, most of the players of the new gen, they are playing with frame with more than 640 square centimeters, and 90% of them, they are playing with a stringing pattern 16 by 19. So that means the frame are faster and they are more powerful. So coming from this context, we have made the evolution of the Tfight to become more maneuverable and a little bit more powerful. We reviewed the weight distribution of the rackets. And you know, well, you are involved in all the technical matters, so you understand very well that at a similar balance point of the rackets, there are many ways to distribute the weight inside. If you distribute it at the extremities with more weight and towards the head, of course, the racket will be much more powerful, but it will be a little bit more difficult to swing. And at same balance point, you can put the weight more towards the center of the racket, so it will be easier to maneuver and you will have a faster swing. So basically, that's what we do. We did with the new Tfight. We distributed the weight more towards the center to ease up the maneuverability. So that implicated some changes in terms of swing weight and balance, depending on all the different frames of the entire range. The thinking was to provide a frame with a little bit more control, but still be able to put power and spin onto the ball.
And what's new is this beautiful white cosmetic. That's not the only thing, but I really feel like the cosmetic is excellent. The glossy cosmetic is something I've been waiting for, and now we have a few doing this. We have seen it from the Gravity line from Head and Nordic Dots, the Model 99 rackets. So the glossy is coming back a little bit, and I like that. So that's good. Overall, I think the main tweak, the main thing you should know is that they have sorted out some of the peeves and the issues I had with the ISO generation, especially with the 305. When I played the 305 ISO, I liked it from pretty much everywhere on the court, but the swing weight was very high. So they had most of the weight centered towards 12 o'clock, which creates a high swing weight, makes it tough to maneuver, gives it a bit too much power in times. And nowadays, when the game is so fast, they made the decision to actually reduce some of the weight in the head, put it more towards the center of the racket, creating a stable experience, but making it easier to maneuver. And that's a huge improvement in terms of playability for me, especially with the 305 when it had that very high swing weight. Now it's highly playable. That has the most control. 18-19 string pattern is kind of a modern string pattern that you're seeing more and more and more. But this one is one of the best 18-19 rackets on the market. And as you know, 18-19 is used by Medvedev, I think even Grigspor and also Djokovic, but then with a head racket. What I like with Tecnifibre as well, they have the easy lock grommet system. They make kind of functional improvements to the frame. The grip shape is quite rectangular. It's up to you to get used to, but you do after a while of playing. This 315 gram version has one thing that I like about it compared to the 305, and that is a slightly higher static weight, which is more kind of my type of game, but it's still quite head light, so it does balance more towards the handle, so it doesn't have like a very high swing weight, but it's still controlled and still stable, so the swing weight is well balanced. I feel like the racket overall is well balanced, and this was my favorite because you're getting a little bit more help with a higher launch angle, a bit more help over the net without being in any way excessive. As you know, I gave the Tecnifibre TF40 a glowing review. I really liked that one. I must say these are even better, so it made it tough for me. I thought like the TF40 was always a favorite of mine, with its control and like stable feel, solid swing weight and so on. But the Tfights feel even better, less muted, a bit more direct, while the TF40 is a little bit more towards the blade in dampened feel, and it's more controlled. So these ones give you a bit more power. There will also be a Tfight 100 coming out later on, so I will review that one. I've heard great things about it already, but for me, I think the 98 315 with the 1619 pattern is the best one. Christian, you've tried all three models now.
Tried the old generation as well, and this one, I feel like for me it's a huge improvement with the balance point. So that was like my main issue with the last one, because weight-wise it would be a bit more up what I'm used to, but now where it's more headlight, and more weight in the handle, I feel like it's become way more maneuverable. It's become quicker, and it's also super rewarding nonetheless. And I feel like the trajectory is still a bit higher than the last version. So for me, like honestly, it's excellent racket.
I have not tried the 300 gram 1619. So if you have, please let me know in the comments what you think about it. Maybe I will do more Tfight reviews coming up on the channel. Easy to play with, nice impact, no discomfort feeling from this one. Still no trapdoor. So if you customize it, you have to use lead tape or maybe drill a hole, but it's not a huge thing for most of you. I felt like this could be played in stock form, needs no customization, while I felt the 305 gram was a little bit low powered for me, like a bit too low of a trajectory. I needed to work harder to get more of that frame, but I can understand that for more advanced players who can generate more pace on the ball, this would give them more control. I tried them with a few different string setups, Racer Code, Racer Soft in that one, and Racer Soft play really controlled, so you might have to drop the tension if you want a bit more pop, but otherwise Racer Code is a good setup for these frames. Tecnifibre also make great multi-filament strings like NRG2, which is a bestseller, and the Tecnifibre X1 biphase. So you can definitely put like a multi in the crosses to have a bit more of a forgiving feel, a bit more comfort, a bit more power. Or why not even go a full bed of Tecnifibre Triax, which is their hybrid of a multi and a poly, and that's a nice feeling string as well. If you want comfort, if you want to focus on comfort, I always want to talk about comfort because I know many of you out there struggle with tennis elbow, wrist issues, shoulder pain, and you might be using a polyester string at a very high tension, and the string setup is so important. It's at least half of the racket, so make sure that you prioritize restringing quite frequently and making sure that you're playing with not too high of a tension and not too stiff of a string. I generally want to repeat that. I've had no discomfort issues with either of these two rackets. They played really well, but the 315 with slightly more lift on the ball and more spin potential would be my personal choice. But overall, like, a huge thumbs up here. One of the best control frames on the market. I prefer it from some more muted alternatives, even like if you compare it to the Blade. I feel like this one is maybe talking a bit more to me. The T40 would be more of a Blade competitor in terms of a slightly muted feel. I like the directness of this frame, and I can't wait to try the 100. So if you like a crisp feel, a good connection to the ball, not overly dampened or anything, and you want a controlled level of power from a 98, check out the new Tfights. Excellent frames. I think Tecnifibre have done a great job with the improvements, listening to player feedback, and the glossy cosmetic. You cannot really dislike that one. Well, you can, but I don't. So pros and cons overall. It's tough for me to find cons about these. Pros: cosmetic, easier playability, and very good feel. Overall would be my pros. The cons, I don't really know. Like, the 305 is a little bit low powered for my game, but 315 is excellent. Obviously, trapdoor missing. Grip shape is a little bit less round than other brands, but those are pretty weak cons if you get used to that. But yeah, the Tecnifibre Tfight is their best racket yet, I think, in history, if I can be so bold. Really enjoy this frame, and it's something you could easily take into a tournament. I want to hear your opinions about the new Tfights. I think Tecnifibre did a home run with this lineup, and really exceeds the TF40 in my opinion. But if you want more control from a Tecnifibre racket, TF40 is your friend, and a bit more dampening, while this one feels more old school but in a good way. So that's my positive impression. I have heard that Nicola got a little bit of sensation of discomfort from the 300. I'm not sure what string and tension he used, but I would reiterate that the string and the tension is quite important. And for some players, like, some rackets act differently in terms of discomfort. I have felt nothing playing with these frames, so for me it's been good. But always put your extra attention to that and try the demo if you can.
Fellow tennis nerds, made with Adri. You know him from coaching videos and other stuff. New Tecnifibre Tfight, very nice in white gloss.
Looks beautiful, especially this one is glossy. In the hand, I like the shape here in the throat of the racket. And then we started hitting with it, and somehow my technique changed. Felt great, it hit great. I had actually quite a bit of power. Felt like it had not so much topspin for a player that hits kind of straighter or likes to hit flatter. Anyway, super cool. I liked it. I would happily try it again at some other point. I never tried a Tecnifibre. First time and not the last time.
If you need more assistance in terms of rackets, you're lost in the racket jungle, check out tennisnerd.net, where we have a racket guide. We have a consultation service. There's loads of reviews and content, and we're going to improve that over 2025. I love it if you can subscribe, if you can maybe become a member, a YouTube member, or a patron. We have all these options in the descriptions down there. That helps support the channel. You get extra content, and makes us keep working even harder for you to get out of that racket jungle and make a good decision about your racket and string and have more fun on the tennis course, because that's what it's all about, having fun. So that's it for today. Have a nice day now, and don't forget to play some tennis.